Hey, and welcome to this episode of Match Betting Uncovered, brought to you by ProfitTool.
Great to be here.
Today, we are looking at something that feels a bit like looking behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. We're so used to the shiny interface of sports betting, the ads, the celebrity endorsements, the flashing lights, that promise of the big parlay win. But beneath all of that, there's a mechanism that has totally dominated the European market for 20 years and is just now trying to claw its way into the U.S. mainstream.
It really is the engine room. If you look at the surface of the betting world, you see the traditional house versus player dynamic. But if you dig deeper specifically into the strategies we talk about, like matched betting, you find this entirely different ecosystem.
Well, we're talking about the betting exchange. I want to set the stakes early here. If you're listening and you think you know how betting works because you've used a standard sportsbook app, well, you might be operating with an outdated mental model.
That's a great way to put it.
We're going to unpack why the exchange isn't just a different brand of betting, but a fundamentally different economic structure.
It is. It's an economic shift. It changes the power dynamic from, say, a retail model to a marketplace model. And understanding that difference is really the key to moving from gambling, which, relies on luck, to something more like investing or arbitrage, which is what we preach at ProfitTool.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, but let's get specific. When I open a typical sportsbook app, DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, I'm basically shopping at a store. They set the price, I buy the product.
Exactly.
If I want to bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, I pay the price they tell me to pay.
Exactly. In that model, the sportsbook is the house. They are the counterparty to every single transaction. They set the odds, which are essentially the price of the bet. And baked into that price is their profit margin, what we call the VIG or the juice. They don't care if you win or lose specifically. They just want to balance their book so they capture that margin regardless of the game's outcome. You are playing against a corporation that is designed to beat you over the long run.
It's casino. The house always wins.
Precisely. Now, enter the betting exchange. This breaks that model entirely. A betting exchange is a peer-to-peer platform, P2P.
Okay.
So instead of walking into a retail store with fixed prices, imagine walking onto a stock exchange floor or maybe a busy bazaar. There is no house setting the price. There is just a platform connecting people who want to buy with people who want to sell.
So if I want to bet on the Chiefs, I'm not betting against the company running the app. I'm betting against who?
You're betting against another user. It could be anyone. A guy in New Jersey, a quantitative trader in London, maybe your neighbor. It doesn't matter. The platform is just the technology layer, the matchmaker.
The middleman.
Exactly. They hold the money in escrow. They make sure the winner gets paid, but they have no skin in the game. They don't care who wins the Super Bowl. They just want the transaction to happen.
That sounds great in theory, but I imagine it introduces some complexity. In a normal book, I just click bet. Here, if I'm betting against another person, does that mean I have to wait for someone to accept my bet? Like, am I posting a classified ad and waiting for a response?
That's a great question, and it touches on the concept of liquidity. In the very, very early days, yes, you might have been waiting, but modern exchanges use sophisticated algorithms to match buyers and sellers in milliseconds.
Oh, wow.
When you look at an exchange screen, you'll see odds and amounts available. That is the market waiting for you. If the liquidity is there, meaning enough people are trading, the bet is instant. It feels just as fast as a sports book, but the mechanics underneath are totally different.
Okay, so it's fast. But let's talk about the roles. Because if I'm playing against another person, one of us is doing the normal betting, but the other person has to be doing what the house usually does.
Precisely. And this is probably the biggest conceptual hurdle for people new to exchanges. But once you get it, it unlocks everything. There are two distinct actions you can take. You can be a backer or a layer.
Okay, backer seems easy. That's what we all know how to do.
Right. A back bet is standard. You are backing an outcome to happen. I bet the Chiefs will win. If they win, you profit. If they lose, you lose your stake. 99% of sports bettors only ever do this.
But the layer, this is where the magic happens, right? This is the disruption.
This is the game changer. When you place a lay bet, you are essentially acting as the bookmaker. You are betting that a specific outcome will not happen.
So if I lay the Chiefs,
you are betting on them to lose. Or, depending on the sport, like soccer, where ties are possible, you're betting on them to lose or draw. Basically, you win if the backer loses.
I am accepting someone else's wager. I've become the casino.
You have become the casino.
This is a bit of a mind bender for a beginner. If I act as the bookie, and I accept someone's, say, $100 bet on a long shot, isn't that dangerous? Like, if they win, do I have to pay them massive amounts of money?
It involves understanding liability. When you're the backer, your risk is just your stake, the $10 or $100 you put down. But when you are the layer, your risk is the payout you would have to give the winner.
Ah, okay.
So if you lay a bet at high odds, yeah, you need enough money in your account to cover that potential payout. The exchange software handles this automatically. It'll lock those funds so you can't spend them. But yes, you're taking on the liability. That's why you need to pay attention to the numbers.
Which explains why this is usually for more sophisticated bettors.
Hmm.
But why go through this trouble? Why not just stick to the easy click and bet at the sportsbook? What's the actual advantage of all this peer-to-peer chaos?
There are two massive advantages. The first one is true odds. Remember the VIG we talked about, that markup at the retail store?
Yeah, the hidden tax.
Right. Traditional sports books skew the odds to guarantee their 5 or 10% profit. If the true probability of a coin flip is 50-50, a sports book will price it as if it's 52-52 and keep the difference. On an exchange, because it's a free market, the odds usually reflect the actual statistical probability.
There's no built-in margin.
None.
Yeah.
You are buying at wholesale prices.
But the exchange has to make money somehow. They're not running servers for charity.
No, definitely not. They charge a commission. But here's the key difference. They usually only charge a small percentage, say 2 to 5%, on your net winnings.
Wait, so if I lose the bet?
You pay zero commission, you just lose your stake to the other person. You only pay the fee when you profit. And when you run the math, paying a small commission on winnings is almost always cheaper than battling that built-in VIG on every single bet.
It just keeps more money in your pocket.
Over the long term, yes.
That transparency is refreshing. You know exactly what the cost of doing business is. It's not hidden in the math.
Exactly. And the second big advantage is flexibility, especially with limits. Have you ever heard of a winning bettor getting limited by a sports book?
Oh yeah, I've read horror stories. You go on a hot streak or you try to bet big on a niche market like, I don't know, table tennis, and suddenly the app says, sorry, the max bet allowed is $12.50.
It's incredibly frustrating. The sportsbook is just managing their risk. If you're too sharp or if you win too much, they show you the door. An exchange never does that.
Why not?
They don't care if you win. In fact, they want you to win because they take a commission on your winnings.
Ah, that makes sense. Their incentives are aligned with yours.
Right. As long as there is someone on the other side of the world willing to match your bet, someone who thinks you're wrong, you can bet $1 million if you want. The limit is determined by the market liquidity, not a risk manager in a back office.
That sounds like true democratization. Put your money where your mouth is, literally.
It is. It strips away the house entirely.
Okay, so we have better odds, no limits, and we can play the role of the bookie. This is all fascinating for a gambler who wants a fair fight. But our audience and the people using Profit Tool aren't necessarily gamblers in that sense. We are looking for the guaranteed win.
Correct. We're looking for risk-free profit.
So connect the dots for me. How does the exchange unlock the strategy of matched betting? Because my understanding is that you can't really do this without one.
Well, you can, but it's messy. The exchange is the precision tool that makes matched betting so efficient. Let's think about the core concept. Matched betting is about extracting value from sportsbook bonuses, free bets, deposit matches by covering all possible outcomes of a game.
So you don't risk your own money.
Exactly. The classic hedge. I bet on heads and I bet on tails.
Right.
Now try to hedge at a normal sportsbook. You bet $100 on Team A at Book 1. Then you bet $100 on Team B at Book 2. Because both of those books have that VIG baked in, you will lose money on that transaction. You might lose $5 or $10 just on the friction of the odds.
So the house hedge eats up your hedge. You're bleeding money just to stay neutral.
Precisely. But with an exchange, because we're getting those true odds and we can specifically lay the bet, we can construct a perfect hedge where the loss is tiny, maybe pennies. We are creating a break-even scenario on demand.
Let's walk through the four-step process. I think seeing the flow of money helps here. Step 1 is obvious. Open an account at a regular sportsbook with a bonus.
Right. Say, bet $50. Get $50 in free bets. That's our target. We want that $50 free bet.
Step 2, the qualifying bet. I bet my own $50 on the Cowboys to win at the sportsbook.
Now you have risk. If the Cowboys lose, you're out $50. So, step 3. You immediately go to the exchange. and you place a lay bet against the Cowboys.
So I am betting against the Cowboys. I'm acting as the layer.
Correct. So effectively, you have one bet saying Cowboys win and another bet saying Cowboys do not win.
And because I'm using the exchange with its true odds, these two bets, they just cancel each other out perfectly.
Almost perfectly. You might lose, say, 20 or 30 cents on the difference in odds and the small commission. But your capital is safe. If the Cowboys win, your sportsbook account goes up, your exchange account goes down. If they lose, vice versa. You're neutral.
But, and this is the key, I have now triggered the bonus.
Exactly. The sportsbook sees you bet $50. They don't know you hedged it elsewhere, so they credit you with the $50 free bet. Now you have $50 of the house's money.
And that leads to step 4. Repeat for profit.
You do the exact same thing. You use the $50 free bet to back a team at the sportsbook. You use your own money to lay that same team at the exchange. And because you're using a free bet for the backside, you don't care about the cost. Whatever the outcome, the math guarantees you retain about 70 to 80% of that free bet's value as pure withdrawable cash.
That is the arbitrage moment. You've converted a digital coupon into cold, hard cash.
And that is why the exchange is so vital. Being able to lay a bet cleanly is what makes this a mathematical certainty, not a gamble. You're essentially laundering the bonus money into real money, using the exchange as the washing machine.
That's a colorful way to put it. But it makes sense. Now, we've been talking about this as if it's universally available. But I know for a fact that if I open the App Store right now, I might not see these apps depending on where I live. The U.S. is a bit of a patchwork quilt with this, isn't it?
It is, and this is where we have to be realistic. In the UK, everyone uses Betfair. It's as common as having a bank account. In the U.S., because of the repeal of PassPay in 2018, every state regulates betting individually. And exchanges are a harder regulatory lift than standard sportsbooks. The tech is different, the taxation is more complex, so adoption has been slower.
So who are the pioneers here? Who is actually operating in the U.S. right now?
Right now, there are two main flags flying. You have Profit Exchange and Sport Trade Exchange.
And where can I use them?
Profit Exchange is currently live in New Jersey and Indiana. Sport Trade has a slightly larger footprint. They are operating in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, New Jersey, and Virginia.
New Jersey really is the Silicon Valley of sports betting, isn't it?
It was the first mover, so it gets all the toys first. But we are seeing expansion. We know heavy hitters like Betfair, the global giant, are looking at the U.S. There's also a new player called BetDex Exchange, built on blockchain technology, that's looking to enter. It's an emerging market.
Okay, but I'm looking at our listener map, and I see a lot of people in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, places where sports betting is legal, but maybe Profit or Sport Trade aren't there yet. Are those people just out of luck for matched betting?
Absolutely not. And I want to be clear on this. While an exchange is the optimal tool, it is not the only tool. If you don't have access to an exchange, you can use a secondary sports book as a hedge.
So instead of backing at Book A and laying at the exchange, I'm backing Team A at Book 1 and backing Team B at Book 2.
Exactly. You're just covering both sides using two different retail stores.
Yeah. But doesn't the VIG we talked about earlier hurt us there?
It does. It makes the trade slightly less efficient. You might retain, say, 70% of your free bet instead of 80%, but it's still highly profitable. The math still works. The margins are just a little tighter, so don't let geography stop you.
This leads me to the practical side of things. We've talked about backing, laying, calculating liability, finding true odds. Honestly, if I had to do this with a pen and paper, I think I'd just give up.
Oh, you would. If you tried to do this manually, you would definitely get a headache, and you'd probably make a mistake. One wrong calculation on your liability, and you could accidentally risk way more than you intended.
That's the nightmare scenario. Finger slip on the calculator.
That's why at ProfitDuel, we emphasize that this is a software-assisted strategy. We built the promo converter specifically to handle this complexity.
Walk us through what that tool actually does. Is it just a calculator?
It's much more than that. It's a scanner and a calculator combined. It scans the odds at the sports books and compares them to the odds at the exchanges or other books in real time.
So it's hunting for those perfect matches where the spread is super tight?
Exactly. It filters thousands of games to find the ones where the math works best. Then it tells you exactly what to do. It says, go to DraftKings, bet $50 on the Eagles, go to Profit Exchange, lay $48.50 against the Eagles.
It tells you the exact dollar amount to the cent.
To the cent. It calculates the commission, the liability, and your final profit. It turns a complex financial hedging strategy into a simple data entry task. You are just following instructions.
That's a key distinction. It removes the emotion. I don't need to have a gut feeling about the Eagles.
You shouldn't. In fact, having a gut feeling is dangerous in matched betting. You want to be a robot. You want to trust the math. The software finds the inefficiency, and you just execute the trade.
I like that. Be the robot. It's less romantic than the movie version of gambling, but it sounds a lot more profitable.
It's sustainable. That's the word. It turns it into a side hustle rather than a vice. It turns sports betting into a math problem that has a solution.
Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned about the future. We're seeing these exchanges slowly grow in the U.S. Do you think this is going to change the industry permanently? Or will the big sports books just kind of squash them?
I think the cat is out of the bag. Once bettors realize they can get better odds and lower fees, it's hard to go back to the old model. It's like when stock trading went from high-commission brokers to near-zero fees. The consumer wins.
And the house age starts to look less like a rule of nature and more like a service fee that we can opt out of.
That's the provocative thought to hold on to. We are moving toward a frictionless betting economy. As liquidity grows here in the U.S. and as more states authorize these exchanges, the gap between the shark bettors and the public is going to close. The question is, are you going to be the person paying the premium at the sportsbook or the one finding the true value on the exchange?
It feels like graduating from the kids' table to the adults' table.
It really is.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground today. We've defined the P2P structure, tackled backer versus layer, and broken down how this whole machinery powers the guaranteed wins of matched betting.
And remember, the first step is just awareness. Go to Profit Duel, look at the guides, play around with the promo converter. Even if you don't place a bet today, just understanding that you can be the bookie changes how you watch sports forever.
Absolutely. Check your state availability and keep your eyes open for new launches. This space is moving fast. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.